Hey guys, hope you're pumped up to be learning about rites of passage and the liminality today. We'll kick it off with a quote from Arnold van Gennep that summarizes these two complex topics. Now you may be asking yourself, who the heck is Arnold van Gennep? Don't worry, I've got you covered. It's this guy. Arnold was a Dutch, French, and German, all three, according to Wikipedia, ethnographer and folklorist born in 1873. In addition to having a killer stash, he studied rites of passage, which he defines as rites which accompany every change of place, state, social position, and age. He even wrote a book on these concepts, cleverly titled The Rites of Passage in 1909. In this book, he discusses these rites of passage and their purpose within a society, which is more or less summarized by our opening quote here, as these rites of passage serve as this intermediate step between the profane and the sacred world. Van Gennep focused his research mainly on smaller-scale societies because he asserted the smaller a society, the more religion is intertwined in their everyday lives, therefore making these transitions between the profane or secular world and the sacred or religious world easier to observe. Sociologist Victor Turner also states that these rites occur in a predictable pattern in smaller societies because these transitions are methodical and based on biological and seasonal rhythms versus technological advances. However, don't let these distinctions from these two intelligent fellas fool you. These rites of passage exist in every culture around the world. Generally, these are ceremonies surrounding major transitions in an individual's life. The rites of passage themselves are different depending on the culture, but they surround the same transitions: birth, be it baby showers, birthdays, baptisms, coming of age ceremonies like a quinceañera, bar mitzvah, or graduations, and death, and the various surrounding funerary traditions. Now I know you're sitting there wondering, hey, are these rites of passage, as you call them, broken down into three separate phases? And the answer is yes. Yes, they are. Van Gennep comes through once again distinguishing these rites into three separate phases, the first of these being the rites of separation. In this phase, the participant is removed from the rest of society, no longer a part of their recognized world, metaphorically dead. This could be being forced into isolation for several days, the bride and groom not seeing each other before the ceremony, or being forced to lie motionless for a period of time, like a corpse or a cat. The person is stripped of their old role or state in preparation of their transition to their new one. The second phase are the rites of transition, where, as indicated by the name, the transition occurs. In this phase, the participant occupies a liminal space, an ambiguous space between worlds, where they have physical but not social reality. They pass through a realm that has few or none of the attributes of the past or coming state. This could be the observance of the corpse for 3 days in an Irish wake, as discussed in the lecture, or the priest blessing a child during baptism. This concept of liminality is not limited to rites of passage. The belief in purgatory, the space between heaven and the world of the living, could be considered a liminal space. The Irish calendar customs are also prime examples of liminality. They are based on seasonal transitions, and most of the celebrations and ceremonies occur on the eve of the festival. The eve itself is considered a liminal space, being neither the old season or the new. During this time, the boundaries between the world of the living and the magical world are blurred, and the focus on the threshold and boundaries during these times reflect that belief. These spaces represent a fear of the unknown and a way of explaining or coping with major changes in life. Those within the space during rites of passage are neither living or dead, and exit the space a new person to the society. Those liminal days are times of major change, and the rituals and beliefs that surround them highlight the observance and fear of the change. After the rites of transition, we find ourselves at the third phase of Van Gennep's rites of passage, the rites of incorporation. During this final phase, the participant is reintegrated into society with their new state, role, or position. This could be a position at a new job, a college degree, or man or womanhood in society's eyes. They now inhabit this state with all of the norms and expectations surrounding it. Rites of passage in this liminal transition period are the buffer between the sacred and profane. They serve to acknowledge and cope with change and the unknown, while at the same time celebrating it. These rites also impress the importance of the new state onto the participant, allowing time to understand the expectations surrounding it, as well as foster social cohesion, and is a time of introspection for observers to analyze their life in the context of the transition. Hey guys, I'm Florian Walter.
I'm Addison Thyng.
And I hope you enjoyed our video project on liminality and the rites of passage. It was a roller coaster ride making this video, really. It was actually a really difficult concept to kind of approach. You know, it's pretty abstract, so it's hard
Finding sources was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the ones we did find did have what we were looking for, but yeah, the topic was obscure. I mean, we were gonna talk to Billy, but what was it?
I sent Billy an email trying to get an interview with him or something, and we just never got a response back, so we kind of forged on ahead on our own. We're kind of worried the script wasn't long enough, but once we started reading off of it...
yeah, we got the first paragraph in 40 seconds, and so the whole thing, you know, worked itself out. I mean, I wanted him to do the voice because we didn't want a 12-year-old girl narrating our video, which would have what happened if I would have done the voice. I mean,
still not thrilled about me speaking on it either.
No, but it still turned out great. I mean, the editing turned out really well. You did a lot of the editing, but I did help because you're the one with the fancy computer and the photo skills. But
I mean, the photos weren't really all that difficult. We just pulled them off Google Images, really. But you know, I think it turned out pretty okay. Learned a lot along the way.
I mean, I didn't know about any of this stuff before we started our project.
I don't know.
And so I learned a lot too. And that's something you can hold on forever.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.